Today I want to talk about these books here. On the left it's The Theory of the Grain of Sands, and on the right The Tower, both drawn of course by Francois Schuiten, written by Benoit Peters, and they both belong to their cycle about their obscure cities. These are the German versions, but The Theory of the Grain of Sands is available since 2016 in an English translation, and that was sort of the reason why I want to talk about these two books here, because they are both at least comparable. Starting with The Tower. This is an old hardcover here. I own it since it came out in 1988. It's about there's janitor or inspector, surveyor of a tower. And since it's a huge tower, and we only can witness small parts and pieces of this tower, who's bigger than life, literally. He has some colleagues in other parts of the tower, but he has a lonely working place because they are so separate. And walls come crumbling down, and there are flaws everywhere, and he has his hands full to repair the everyday damage. It's so overwhelming that he decides to look for the ones who are responsible and to tell them that he needs help. He builds himself some sort of flight apparatus here to reach the higher levels of the tower, but that doesn't go too well. But eventually he meets some other people and a big library, in it the Mysterium Magnum, this tome here. And I like this story here especially because the setting, this huge tower, and the art of Schuiten, and this plot that could be written by Franz Kafka, that goes all very well together. Why Franz Kafka? Because here we have people who don't know exactly everything about their everyday reality, and there is a merging of reality, like very often in the Schuiten Peters books, when you have a black and white comic in which suddenly colored parts occur, or the other way around. It indicates a merging of realities. And here we have these collision or merging of realities. This is a project picture of the tower, how he should look one day. But of course it's a depiction of the Tower of Babel as well, including this nice lady here who plays a certain role after that. So it's a bit more complicated than just this old man and the tower. They have a knack for bringing some romance between an older guy and some younger chick in it, and this can be sometimes a bit strange or foreseeable, but if it comes with this really nice depiction of from Francois Schuiten, I can't criticize anything. So believe me, this book here is a strong, very strong book, a real unity of art and story. Unfortunately, the theory of the grain of sands isn't that good, I have to confess. Even though it's hard for me to put my finger on it, what I don't like as much as the tower in the story. Because the story is, the art of course is fantastic as well, at least in my opinion. But and the story is pretty unique too. Here's a guy who comes to Brussels, or brüsel, these alternative version of Brussels, steampunkish kind of version, and he comes to this modern world without really having a clue, maybe, what the city is all about, and he brings a trinket of some kind here, and this is obviously a spoiler. Don't know if it's really a spoiler. The reason why some strange things happen in this town, in the city of Brussels. First, there are some stones that appear in the midst of the living rooms of the houses of some of the citizens, and one stone after the other, just out of the blue. And there's this cook here of a restaurant, and he has this strange white blurs on him. And in the run of the here's this strange trinket, this Indian native guy brought into the town, into the city. And you see here how the different levels of reality are signified with, not with different colors, but this is depicted in this white, while all the other comic is printed in this gray tone. And it really feels very well on the page, I hope, because it's a very special paper, and I hope the English version has this paper as well. So here's the cook who whose white blur spreads until a bit further in the story. Here you see there's sand appearing in some other houses, hence the theory of the grain of sand. And it turns out to be really a problem for the whole city, because there are dozens and hundreds of the stones, and they appear faster than you can remove them. So here we have the cook, who gets lighter every day. When now he's totally white, and at one part in the story he has to be bound with ropes to the ground, so that he can't hover, fly away into space. So that's pretty much the gist of the story, I guess. And of course, the people in Brussels try to figure out the reason for all the stuff here. And yeah, but the bad part, I guess, we don't get really a proper explanation for all these events here. Just some mysterious mumbo-wumbo of, there are these levels of reality that don't go well together, and spoiler again, of course, our natives, outsiders from Brussels, they get their trinket back, and somehow it's all fine again. Yeah, and that's not so satisfying, just story-wise for me. But if you're an architecture buff or fan, you will get a lot for your buck, because Art Nouveau villa in Brussels is somehow one of the main characters in the story, and there are some other Easter eggs for you architecture lovers out there. So if you can dig a science fiction story or fantasy story in which not everything comes to a satisfying explanation, but it's told with fantastic great art, then the theory of the grain of sand may be a good starting point to the universe of Schuiten and Peters. And if you happen to come to stumble over the tower, yeah, go for it, of course. And maybe even if it's a French version and you just are able to read that tiny bit of French, because Benoit Peters' French, as I've experienced myself, is pretty easy to read. My French is lackluster. It's a catastrophe. I don't really are able to read French, but Peters' French, whatever reason, is not lost to me at all. Totally. Let's put it this way. So if you can get them in French and you have at least a clue about some basic rules of the French language, maybe try it out. So that's all for now, and see you next time. Thanks for listening and watching. Goodbye.